All right, welcome. In this quick explainer, we are putting on our detective hats to crack the case of plant diseases. Consider this your rapid revision, straight out of Section 4.3.3 of the AQA spec. Okay, let's dive right in. Every investigation starts at the scene of the crime. So take a good look at this plant here. It's obviously not having a good time. But if you're the biologist on the case, what are the specific clues? What are the telltale signs you should be looking for?
So before we can even think about pointing fingers at a culprit, we need to gather our evidence. And that means learning how to spot the key signs that a plant is actually diseased in the first place.
Think of this as your essential detective's checklist. For your exam, you've absolutely got to be able to spot these signs and know what they might mean. You see, each symptom is a vital clue. Is its growth stunted? Well, maybe it's not getting the nutrients it needs to grow. Spots on the leaves could be a fungal attack. Can you actually see pests? Well, they could be doing the damage themselves or even spreading another disease.
Right, so we've collected our evidence from the crime scene. Now it's time for the police lineup. In the world of plant disease, our usual suspects pretty much always fall into one of two camps. Either we're talking about invading pathogens or some kind of nutrient deficiency. And this table perfectly lays out the main offenders you need to know. A key skill here is linking the symptom to the cause. See that weird mosaic pattern on the leaves? Your prime suspect should be tobacco mosaic virus. Purple or black spots on a rose? That's screaming rose black spot fungus. And really pay attention to that stunted growth. It's a classic sign of a nitrate deficiency. And why is that? Well, plants need nitrates to make proteins, and proteins are the building blocks for, well, everything. No proteins, no new cells, no growth. Simple as that. Okay, let's zoom in on a key word that examiners absolutely love: chlorosis. It's just the scientific name for when leaves turn yellow, and it is a massive clue that points straight to a magnesium deficiency. Magnesium is the key ingredient for making chlorophyll. That's the green stuff that makes photosynthesis happen. So no magnesium, no chlorophyll. No chlorophyll, and the leaves turn yellow, and the plant basically starts to starve. So we've got our symptoms, our evidence, and we have a list of potential suspects. But how does a gardener or a scientist go from, "I think it's this," to, "I know for sure what the problem is"? How do they make that final, definitive ID? Well, there are three main ways to do it. You can start simple with a visual ID, comparing the sick plant to pictures in a gardening book or on a reliable website. For a more certain diagnosis, you can send a sample off to a lab. And for a really high-tech, modern approach, you can use a testing kit. These kits often use something called monoclonal antibodies. Seriously, think of them like tiny biological heat-seeking missiles, each one designed to find and lock on to only one specific pathogen. It gives you a super clear, super accurate result.
But here's the thing. This story isn't just about attack. Plants are not helpless victims just waiting to get sick. They have their own amazing, multi-layered security systems to fight back against all these invaders.
And we can break down their incredible defense systems into three main categories. Honestly, thinking about it like this, physical, chemical, and mechanical, just makes it so much easier to remember, especially when you need to structure an answer in your exam.
First up, the physical barriers. This is the plant's front line, its fortress walls. Every single plant cell is surrounded by a tough wall made of cellulose. Then, the leaves are coated in this waxy cuticle, which is like a waterproof, pathogen-proof jacket. And of course, trees have bark, thick layers of dead cells that pathogens can't get through. And get this, the bark can even fall off, taking the bad guys with it.
Now, if a pathogen does manage to breach those physical walls, the plant unleashes its chemical arsenal. Some plants can actually produce their own antibacterial chemicals to kill invaders. Others produce poisons that make them taste disgusting, which is a pretty good way to stop animals from taking a bite. And finally, we've got the mechanical tricks, these clever physical adaptations. Things like thorns and hairs obviously make a plant a very unpleasant meal, but some are even more clever. You've got plants whose leaves dramatically droop or curl up when you touch them, which might just startle an herbivore into leaving it alone. Some plants even use mimicry to trick animals, maybe by looking like they're already diseased or have eggs on them. So clever.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that plants are not passive. They're in a constant, silent, and active battle for survival, using this amazing combination of physical, chemical, and mechanical defenses to stay alive.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've just seen how incredible these built-in plant defenses are. So, why do they sometimes fail on such a massive scale that our global food supply still needs so much help from pesticides? What is it about modern farming that changes the game?
definitely something to chew on.